Chapter 9. Violent Alternatives. Shallow Turnus, more recessed by the day, bubbled, gurgled, and soaked Reyth's coonskin boots. The creek's body twisted and turned through a serpentine path the once mighty river had carved through the land. Now the river waned, too fickle to but seep through the stones further downstream. When fleeing the weeping meadows, the caravan had forwarded bone-dry embankments further east just days before. So these drips and drops, while melancholy, provided a precious backdrop against which to disguise her movements as she tracked her game. The bodies of dry, dread trees piled up upon her either shore, the buzzing of feasting insects like Sangar's sorrowful cry for her ill-fated growth. She surveyed her surroundings for prints, broken twigs, or fresh droppings. "Nah, make a sound, Pea. Be beneath the wind and water. People say the deer spook at the slightest sounds, but the forest lives loud. Be what it expects till the moment you become its shepherd. Angle your feet like this, Pea. Square yourself so you can hit your mark. Part the brush and be wary. Scratches heal, they ain't nothing to a hungry belly. Watch now. This is how you step to water's rhythm. Breathe, Pea, breathe. Sangar is not withholding. Her breath is yours. Be calm and focus. Look here, these twigs and grass are bent and broke first things to look for when you track. If you find little brown shits, then you know you're close. Then aim for the bits with the least meat. Moss rock splinters. If you swallow a grain, you're better dead, so Pea aim true. 'Cause wherever you hit, it'll be worthless. It'll have to be cut away." The tiny fragments of her father's many lessons coalesced into the collage of instinct. The uninvited memories brought her pause. Ahead, a bottleneck where she'd funneled her mark. Sangar thawed green and lush, and her beasts had yet to adapt to the breathless clarity. The deer were blind with hearing as sharp as moss. As Reyth scooted from the low water of a weak Turnus, she waded into tiny patches of flowers, the color of honey, and through bushels of snowberries. When Sangar breathed, Reyth never knew such vibrant nature. The yellow flowers seemed new among the breath's absence, unless their color had simply been washed away by it. The golden flowers swirled where no trees blocked Uyu's humming radiance. Hunting, with only the eyes of the watcher to guide her, was as difficult as it was illuminating. Its metallic body like a phantom of her own, it couldn't fly far quickly and could only act with a kumquat's clumsiness. She would cast it forward from her shoulder to a low branch and watch herself make missteps as she performed the disorienting task of plotting her own movements from an exterior vantage. If she could expand the range or dexterity, its metal talons could hunt rabbits and varmints better than any arrow, and while she relaxed and ate berries with Mira, yet tempting as such sweetness was, she must strengthen this new muscle while refining the old. Her steps were hesitant, her heart weak, and worst of all, her aim had faltered. Immersed in a dollop of sunlight, among the flowers, and framed by the arch of a crumbling ruin, was a young doe, with tufts of reddish-brown fur. Reyth drew the watcher back with a whisper of its name, Raspberry. Yew creaked as Reyth knocked an arrow. Cloven hooves tip-tapped against stone cut hundreds of thaws before the freeze. She dwelled on the shadows to guess the distance. These new eyes lacked the hunter's focus, and like Sophie's photographs, they had a flat affect that concealed depth. If she tried to focus, like with her own eyes, the gems in its metal skull would click and readjust, bringing distant objects close or fisheye, and push them further away. Reyth found the zoom more disorienting than helpful, so the watcher nested upon her shoulder, its light metal feathers fluttering against her ear, as she trapped her last breath in her chest to steady herself. Like a dog's, her mouth watered for succulent, juicy meat. Anything but another meal to go. The flavorless powder noshkri mixed into their canteens for every meal since they crossed the whitetail and ran dry of meats. Kraken arrow leapt from outside her vision and hit the ruin's stone arch. Startled, Reyth let her own arrow fly. The doe dashed into the underbrush, her arrow shattered and missed, wasted and useless. "Kamut! By the breath!" Reyth shouted, jogging out into the clearing to draw him out, and Kamut emerged soon after. Lanky, without much muscle or strength, Reyth had always held her height, strength, and most of all age over him like a dangling cherry he could never reach. Dark red hair fell in tight braids like Aurex over his scrawny shoulders. He was too handsome and spry to be so damn clumsy. "You must have fletched the arrows wrong," he said. "I aimed right, but it went left." "Clumsy kumquat!" Reyth smacked him up back the head, where the spider had affixed to her own. "Me paps taught me the best there is. You couldn't hit Sanger if you tried. EU is my witness, Ray. It ain't fletched right. I could have made that shot with me eyes out," he said, the wind whistling between his ears. "You ain't fletched right. You need to take your time. I saw you rustling in the bushes. It's a wonder you didn't spook her earlier. We's hunting deer, not dancing for fish. What is Mira supposed to do without me uncle to feed her? You can't fish in these currents much longer." "Our friends will provide." He went to smack her like she had he, but the spider lurked, so instead he jabbed her in the ribs with the cracked shaft of the arrow she'd shot and broke. Reyth stole the arrow back and said, "You should provide for your friends. Nah, the other way around." The head may have broken, but the moss rock shards would trade well with her pick of Schneider or Noshkree's exotic stock. She could have fed meals to go to all the fish of Turnus with the moss rock the green-eyed devil had stolen from her. All the smacking, jabbing, poking got them touching, laughing, and flirting like old "Shush!" Reyth's hand, caked in wet mud, cupped Kamut's mouth, then she made a show of sniffing. "Do you smell that?" He sputtered muck and pushed her hand away, giving her quite a look. She waved him on. After a moment he took up curious sniffing too. "Wildfire?" he asked. Reyth bid her watch her to the sky, an act as simple as lifting its head, yet it took her a moment to realize the action through the flexing of its form. Uyu neared the mountain tops. She couldn't see much through the trees, so she clapped Kamut's flank. "'Ere, help me up." After doffing her heavier gear, like her bow, she threw the metal bird onto the lowest branch of the highest tree against the clearing. Kamut hoisted her up. Branches and needles brushed at her bare cheeks as she climbed, the watcher leapfrogging her to the top to guide her way, to where the wind grew weaker with the scents of the forest, and stronger with the stench of ash concealing the coming rain. Vast Sangar spread over hills and crags until it ended in a wall of choking black char, devouring the eastern sky. "What do you see?" Kamut called from his unseen place below. "A big fire." She muttered in awe, brushing errant locks of hair from her eyes as if it had let her see better. "It's the Dark Ones." "A raid?" Kamut sputtered. "It's back towards the meadows past the whitetail. There can't be nothing there no more." "Nothing but the trees, the rocks, the river, the birds, the dogs, the cats, the mice, the rabbits, and everything else worth saving." "Gonna rain now? That'll douse it," he said. It sounded as if he had more to say, but he'd been interrupted by the hoarse voice of the windfish's son. "Ray, kick the cub's play and climb down," Ty called. Using her hands to adjust the watcher's view, she saw that several others had come to the flowered clearing. Ty, Schneider, and a number of RX fighters, all veteran raiders, lightly packed and painted red for war. They stood like bloody pillars among the golden meadow. "Watcha need, Ty? We're tending Sangar so she might feed our bellies." "You're a killer now. We got killin' to do," Ty said. "There's food elsewhere." "Where?" Reyth gulped down creeping nerves. "Who?" "Skucks," Schneider answered with a broad gesture and a big smile. "Who else?" By the time she touched the flowers again, Kamut had stepped between her and the raiding party. "You thick like tar?" Kamut argued. "She can hardly walk straight, let alone fight. She's blind as a bat without the flight tie. You said so yourself." "We's to fight in the dark, kumquat," Ty said, and he gave an offering, a metal knife in the style of the Outsiders, a boar engraved on its hickory handle. "Isn't this what you wanted, Reyth?" "We got a special job for you," Schneider said, a cockish posy in his purple dress and shiny boots. paintless and even auspicious with polished metals pinned to gold filigrees. She regarded the knife's heft, heavier than moss and less sharp, but also less brittle. Kamut still had not picked up to peer into the gems of the owl when using his kumquat's cuteness to plea with her. Still he sought her absent cock-eyes. Reyth had thought she looked uncertain, but any more she scowled more than anything else. As if her clay had been sculpted and kilned, she did not mean it, but seemed to be her nature. As a show, rather than any practical act, she met Tai eye to eye and pocketed the blade. "Let's fucking kill him,"